What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we have our second update on our Nexgen NASCAR. Today we are doing the Toyota Camry. And well, we got the interior pretty much all patched up. It's not 100% done because we still have to put our rear deck back here, but the majority of what is going on in here is done, and that's the reason why we're doing this update, is I want to show you this, and this thing turned out pretty darn good. So we're doing some detail to this car. Obviously we're not doing a full-on detailed dream because again there's really no point, because you don't see any of it. But what you do see on the interior is pretty much what you do see, and looks pretty good. So for wires and hoses, we didn't do too much. We just did mainly for the oil line, which is that big yellow, or not yellow, the red line, and then some better lines and some wires and hoses there. I'm not sure what those are for, but those are the ones that you see visible, and that's pretty much all the hoses that you basically see. I'm not going to be adding every single piece of wire that is in the interior of these cars because, well, it's just too much, and you don't really see much of it anyway. I know there's a control box right there. There's a lot of wires going to it, but I'm not going to worry about that. But majority of it is pretty good, and there's some 3D printed parts in here. For one thing, it's going to be the dashboard. The dashboard is 3D printed. It looks pretty good. I'm actually really happy how the dashboard turned out. So we did the main cluster, or the switch gear box, you want to call it, switch box. That is in carbon fiber, and those look really good. That looks absolutely fantastic. And then of course we did the white right here for it, because that's part of the cross member, or that's part of the frame. And then up here you might notice on this whole black, we did it in texture black. So you're wondering, just in case you're wondering how I did that, that is actually just regular black, but I hold my airbrush back by like a foot away from the part, which gives it that very misty look, and it just makes it texture. So that's what that is. So it's bigger black, but I just hold my airbrush back by like almost a foot back and just mist it on there. So, and that gives it that texture look, which is pretty cool. So we got our control box right there. We did wire that, and then of course our speedometer. It's not speedometer, it's some kind of gauge. There's no speedometers in these cars. That is wired too, just one of those single wire right there. Yeah, so there's no speedometers in these cars, so these guys have no idea how fast they're going. So it just has their RPM and stuff on there, and whatever, oil gauge and whatever. The seat is fantastic. Majority of it is 3D printed, except for the main bucket. There's just the actual bucket. The headrest is printed. All the bracings are printed. The arm or the leg padding is printed, and it looks pretty good. Even this little silver thing right there, printed. I mean, it looks really good. We did add some seatbelts in there. That was a pain in the butt right there, but that is totally worth it. It looks really good. And again, we did our texture black technique on that too, on the padding. So just hold my airbrush back multiple feet back there, just masked off where the actual bucket is, because that is carbon fiber. So yeah, it's all carbon fiber, as you can probably see right there. Yeah, pretty good. So yep, so the whole bucket, whole seat is all carbon fiber from the back, even though you're not going to see any of it, but well, at least it's known as carbon fiber. That goes for the same for the pedal box right down there, which you can't really see, but that is also carbon fiber. So that looks pretty good. We did add some 3D printed paddings, which you might have noticed on here, and there's some things here and there. We did add some zip ties, which is pretty cool. So those are actually paddings that comes on the car. Also, for the 3D printing wise, is going to be the shifter, the new updated shifter. That looks pretty good and more accurate, and yeah, it looks absolutely fantastic. You got the fire signature in there. You can either do that in red or white. I did mine in red. Maybe my next one I'll do it in white. But yeah, but the whole interior turned out fantastic. I'm actually really happy how this turned out. We got some like pattern here. This is actually in the carbon fiber decal sheet for the next gen cars from Power Slide. I'll actually show that here to you here in a sec, but that's what all the carbon fiber is, from the seats and stuff, and the floorboard, or the pedal box, you know, I call it, is that came from in the carbon fiber decal sheet, and also in these. So those look pretty good. They're actually more detailed to it, to the interior and stuff. So yeah, the interior looks fantastic. I'm actually really happy how this turned out. We did get our engine here. I really just snapped it in there just a couple minutes, or a few minutes ago, before doing this video. And of course, one more another thing as 3D printed on the engine or on this build is going to be the TRD valve covers. Since this is a Toyota, I am using the kit engine, but again, we are just using some TRD Toyota emblem or valve covers because that's literally all you see on each next gen cars. Because everything else, literally the whole engine is going to be covered up with those carbon fiber panels, except just the valve covers. So the only thing you see is valve covers. So that's why we added those valve covers. And back here, we got a gas tank in there. We got our transmission, and this is 3D printed as well, which is the oil cooler, I think it is. That just kind of point for me putting that in there, but I just put it in there just for the heck of it, even though you're not going to see any of it. And again, you can wire and plumb all the transmission stuff, but like I said, I'm not going to do any of that because you're never going to see it ever again, because I am going to be putting on the upper deck and stuff. And so yeah, so that looks fantastic. And speaking of upper deck, this is what the upper deck is. Basically, there's two pieces. So you got this piece that goes on this side and stuff, and then it goes on the other cage, other side of the roll cage. But yeah, so it literally just covers everything. So that's why we're not completely done with the interior, because we have to add our like, what's this, the brake cooling for the rear brakes, and this goes back here as well. So we're gonna add that. We're gonna do that in carbon fiber, so we're gonna have to do some more carbon fiber. But yeah, so the interior is not 100% done, and of course we still have to put our upper, you know, roll cage on there and stuff. So it's done for right now until we get the main chassis going. And speaking of main chassis, here it is. So we did it in carbon fiber color. It's actually carbon color from Ammo by Meg. It's literally their carbon fiber. So, and it looks pretty close to carbon fiber. It looks really good. But we are going to actually do it in carbon fiber. And the carbon fiber decal sheet that I'm talking about is literally the carbon fiber decal sheet from Power Slide. So you can get this at Mike's Decals. So carbon fiber Camaro, which is for the Toyota and the Ford, so it's pretty much the same, but it has all the carbon fiber, and this decal sheet is going to be for the whole chassis that you see here. So this is going to be fun. So this is going to be cool. And these decals, they lay down nice. They lay down super nice. There's not much air bubbles gets under them, so not much, you know, scraping and scrubbing that you have to get all the air bubbles out. So these decals lay down super nice. So we'll do the carbon fiber chassis. You know, it's not really no point, because you're not going to see any of it unless you flip it over, but I figured you might as well. And that goes for, you know, it covers all this. This is all the venting, this is all the radiator stuff. So this is be all carbon, and this is what's all going to cover the engine stuff, and that is going to be including all this. So this is all carbon, more carbon, and you get the thing that covers the engine. That's all carbon. So yeah, lots of carbon. So that's that. Some of you are probably wondering about the body. So here is the body, and yes, so we did change our paint scheme. The reason why is I had this Monster Energy Beast paint scheme, or the decal sheet, in my decal bin. I was going through it, I was like, oh, I totally forgot I had a decal sheet, and I really wanted to do this car. I mean, I totally forgot I had this decal sheet, so that's why we did it. This decal sheet looks so good. I'll get into this body more in depth on our next update. But we still have to do a lot of wet sanding, because it's a NASCAR, so you have a little orange peel. So yeah, the roof as well. So yeah, there's lots of orange peel. It's just a typical NASCAR. The decals creates of an orange peel, so it's not a big deal. So we're gonna get all this wet sanded and polished out. So before we're gonna get that done, then we'll get more in depth about the body. But let's just say this decal sheet, it was not fun. No, it was not fun. But is it worth it? Yeah, it's worth it, but it was not fun. I'll explain why that is in the near future update video. But all right, guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed, and yeah, so this is coming together pretty good. Once we get the chassis done, which I'm hoping it'll be probably today or Monday, we'll get the whole chassis completed with the suspension arms and the brakes and all that good stuff. And that way we'll have a worn chassis, and then yeah, then we can start focusing on the body. But now, guys, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed, and until my next video, we'll catch you guys next time.